Look at you guys showing off that there really are two of you.
There really are proof.
Oh, you're making room for me?
Well, you did barge in here like 10 minutes before.
Yeah, sorry.
Making an entrance.
Just like my birth.
I know.
You're testy today.
I'm not. I'm busy. I don't know if you know this, but rates are down and we've got refis.
Have refis picked up?
Mm-hmm.
We have a program here in South Carolina. It's a South Carolina reduced housing or reduced interest rate program, and that rate is a 4.875 with no points today.
Are you kidding
You
me?
better believe that those are my Thursday realtor phone calls. I have called and texted everyone I know, and they are already putting it on their social media. 4.875, no points.
Wow, with no points.
Right? No points. I mean, it technically has a half point origination fee, but
yeah. Is it like a down payment assistance program or is it just a government program?
It's exactly like their down payment assistance program, but in lieu of the down payment assistance, you get a reduced interest rate program.
Holy smokes, that's cool.
Very cool.
Genius.
I love it. It's my favorite thing.
Does anybody else have some crazy refi program like that that's listening right now?
It's not a refi program. It's just a program in general.
Oh,
that's what she said.
No. Yeah, you can't refinance with this one. It's just for purchases under 425.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Nice.
that's what she said. She was calling all her realtors. Yeah. All right, we will get up and going in just a minute.
We would love if y'all turned your cameras on.
I will turn my camera on, but I will be the distracting one because I'm feeding baby squirrels today.
Oh,
good.
I love Brussels sprouts in the air fryer. Oof.
Me
so
too.
Good with some honey and what's it called? Sriracha. So good.
You have to try honey mustard and hot sauce together.
Hot sex. Mustard and hot sex.
That was an interesting Freudian slip. Sorry.
That's one of those moments
you guys from the recording
that they never remember to turn on the recording certain time.
It already started.
That's hilarious.
It is. It's going to go live all over the YouTube channel. No, I'm kidding.
Sorry.
I don't like those.
Why? Wow. Someone's a little testy today.
You're obnoxious. You're so obnoxious.
She's like hugging a cactus.
You come in here, you got your drink, you're like shaking it, you're gulping it. It's just a lot. It's a lot. It's 12 o'clock. It's a lot. All right. It is officially time. Good afternoon, I guess, for most of us.
She's so much nicer to you guys.
Y'all, we are like, how many more days? What's today? Thursday? Tomorrow? We have 2 more working days until the end of Q3. So I want to just like do a temperature check of how you guys are feeling, your business is doing. Like, this is real talk. No one's peacocking here trying to flex and how great we're doing, but like drop in the chat or unmute yourself. How, this has been a tough year, but like, how are you feeling about your numbers, your activity that you're doing? Do you have a good idea of what you should be doing every day? Are you doing it? Why aren't you doing it? Let's unpack that a little bit.
I have personally been stressing because until about 2 days ago, I didn't have any deals for October. And really, November is just heating up, but I got one for October and one for November. But I'm hoping that this program I was just talking about can get us some deals. But I was stressing because I thought I wasn't going to have any for October.
Is anybody else feeling like their month is slow? You can do like a raise your hand or thumbs up or.
Julie, how's it going for you? I haven't seen you in a while.
For the first time in 5 years, I have no kids at home. So it's going fucking amazing.
Wow, I envy that.
Right. It's been a long, long time because I have adults. So I've been through this stage in life where you don't have kids at home, and then we had the oopsie. So things finally are going in the right direction. I closed 6 for September, which is the best month I've had in a really long time. In October, I've already got a couple going. But I was able to actually start sticking to doing things. So it's a huge difference just not having it every minute interruption of my day.
Yeah. So drop in the chat. Do you guys feel, are you feeling like your business is slow, steady, or picking up? Because I really want to gauge. Feeling slow for new apps. Business is picking up. Mine is picking up. Slow for October, but picking up. Is it picking up due to refis, or is it picking up because of purchases? Purchases. Okay.
And are those purchases, is it first-time home buyers, move-up buyers, downsizing, relocation, divorce? What's the why behind making the move? Move-up buyers.
Slow on purchase, staying afloat with refi, several. Okay. All right. Well, the good news is that there's a pretty good mix of, like, some people are having their best year ever, best month ever. Some people have been slow. And it doesn't seem like the people who are feeling like their business is where it's at is necessarily because of refis. So what that tells me is there's a lot of opportunity that we can unpack. The first thing is that if you're busy or you feel like your business is picking up, what that tells us is that for the last 3 months, you've been dialed in, you've been intentional about your days and your time. Because we've been talking on these calls of, if we were to analyze like your MIT most valuable thing that you should be doing to get business now, like what are those things? If you were to identify 2 or 3 things, like if your house was going to get foreclosed on in 60 days and you weren't going to have a house to live in if you didn't close 3 loans in 60 days, what would be the activity that you would do to get a client or to get a real estate agent? And when you have that level of intention, it kind of reminds me of that Will Smith movie of The Pursuit of Happiness, where it's like, he needed the money. So he didn't start at the bottom of the list and start making dials. He went all the way to the top, to the richest guy, and said, you know what? I'm just going to call him, because guess what? He didn't have the time to wait to make all those dials starting from the bottom. And so sometimes our motivation, our intention is not there because we're not treating it like someone just kidnapped our kids and we won't get our kids back. Julie might appreciate that, but we won't get our kids back until you close 3 loans. Like, if you had that kind of motivation behind you, what activities would you be doing? And so for the ones that feel like your business is picking up and is solid, you've probably been very focused consistently for at least 3 months to feel like that today, this week, at the end of September. On the flip side of that coin, some of you guys might be feeling like, I'm scared to death. I didn't have anything in my pipeline, and I don't really know what my activity should be doing. The things that I was doing isn't really working so well. And the truth is if we were to do a task tracker sheet, a task tracker is, it's nothing fancy. I can send it to you guys, but it's like just imagine a blank sheet of paper, and you had to track every task for 3 straight days every time you switch tasks. So like this would be, okay, at 12 p.m. Central Time, I got on the Nerd Byrd show. And then at 1:05, I checked email. And then I got on social media for 20 minutes. And what you're doing is you're tracking your tasks. And it is so eye-opening when you're like, I don't feel like I have enough time in the day. But then we get really focused on where you're spending your time by tracking it, which is annoying, but you got to track it to know. All of a sudden your day passes by and weeks pass by and months pass by, and you're not spending the amount of time that you need to be spending doing your MITs, most important things. You're getting distracted by doing other things that aren't going to get you that deal that's going to help prevent you getting your house foreclosed on, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? And so if you fall in that category, we have to, one, acknowledge that and have some sort of self-awareness and self-assessment that's like, am I lying to myself or staying in a delusional state that I'm doing everything that I need to be doing, when deep down, if we were task tracking, you might not be. And if you're not, you have to really dig deep to find out, like, why aren't you doing it? Because don't get me wrong, this year in this market has caused us to be more hunters of the business. Like in 2020 and 2021, the business just kind of came in easier. Now we have to like actually proactively hunt for it. We have to hunt for more real estate agents. We have to hunt for more clients. And that hunting activity is a lot different than other markets that we've been in. I would argue it's not as fun to make warm phone calls and DMs and doing all the prospecting stuff. It's certainly not as fun as, making something on Canva, in my opinion. So if I can get distracted and spend an hour on Canva, I would, to avoid making my calls. But just because it's not fun doesn't mean that we don't do it. Like, I am not motivated to get up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym. There's nothing about me that's motivating of like, yay, let me go get in the gym. I'm disciplined to get up to go, but I'm certainly not motivated at 5 a.m. I'm motivated to stay in bed. And so sometimes I think people have that formula opposite of like, well, I'm just not motivated. And so that's it. But the discipline comes before the motivation, always. And then when you start seeing the results, it does start to get rewarding, but we're in a season where it's going to take twice as long for you to see the results of the hunting behavior.
Well, if you track your task too, it will leave clues for, say, next year. 'Cause a lot of times you could be having your best year or your best month, but you really don't know what it was that you did. So subconsciously, it could tell you just got lucky. Like there's no blueprint. But if you can task, you can't measure and improve, or you can't improve what you don't measure. And if you start tracking your activities and even have like a flow calendar, I learned this with Ty McBride's group yesterday. He talked about most people don't have time blocks of when they're going to do their sales activities. So that, and I think it was, Kylie, who said, having my best year ever, just came off my best month in August, but have no consistency or plan. And so sometimes we just, it can feel like we're busy and we're winning and you have been, but if you don't know, because there's probably things you've done consistently, whether they were the right things or the wrong things, but we're generally, we can get pretty consistent with our habits, but we don't know how to improve them. And, kind of like what we talked about at the end of Q2, when we had y'all, look at how many credit pulls, how many leads, how many fundings. Do you guys remember that when we went through that exercise? And we started from the end goal of what we wanted to accomplish for this quarter. And we reverse engineered of how many credit pulls you would need per day or per week in borrower conversations. How many of y'all feel like you executed that plan that you created at the start of the quarter at like say out of a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being perfect, at least a 7 or higher? And you can just put it in the chat. Or how would you rate on a scale from 1 to 10? Because we started the quarter, we kicked it off where we got really clear on our numbers. So then we can create the plan and work the plan.
Sometimes 8, 7, 8.
Good.
8.5, sometimes 6.
Good. Okay.
All right. So what I want to do is go through a little bit of an exercise with you guys on doing a Q3 inspection, what that looks like, and then setting up for Q4. And then I want to talk a little bit more about activity that we can be doing now to gain purchases and gain refinances. Because some of you guys are saying, I don't think that we're yet in a place where we can do refis. And so I just want to make sure that that is accurate. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. So let me pull up. This is something I'm doing with my team. Share. This is an exercise that I would recommend doing. because we've talked a lot about measuring metrics. So the first thing we need to do is we need to measure our Q3. Hopefully you guys are tracking your credit pulls and your conversion and your fundings. Our reporting here is really, really good. But I want you guys to ask yourself these questions here. Can y'all see my screen? Yeah. Did you meet your credit pull goal? So remember the last time when we talked about metrics was you really have to know what your conversion number is from, I call it credit pull to funding. And once you know that conversion rate, then we can start reverse engineering how many credit pulls you need weekly to get to your funding goal. And if you are sitting here right now and you're like, I don't know that number, you need to pause, rewatch the recording of, you have to know that number. You have to know how many credit pulls you need to get to your funding goal based on actual data of what your conversion is. Your conversion this year might be different than what it was last year. So that's why it's a constant. It's like every time you go to the doctor and they take your blood pressure, that's your conversion rate. It's going to go up and it's going to go down. But you need to know how many credit pulls you need a week, because if you need 8 credit pulls a week, you're going to need 3 times the partner conversations a week to get to your credit pull goal. That's how many partner connections, conversations. A connection is dialogue back and forth for longer than 2 minutes. That's what's deemed a connection. It could be new agents, it can be current agents, but you need to be tracking how many conversations or connections you're having with your partners, or you won't get to your credit pull goal. And if you don't get your credit pull goal, you won't get to your funding goal. So I want you to ask yourself, did you meet your weekly credit pull goal? If no, what is getting in the way of you hitting your credit pull goal? Truthfully. Maybe it's like I'm working at home and there's too many distractions and I'm doing laundry or my family bugs me and so I get pulled off the job. And okay, we need to identify that, and maybe you need to go into the office to avoid the distraction, right? Maybe we need to start your day earlier. Maybe we need to do task tracking and find out why your day's being zapped. Maybe you're spending too much time triple checking your prequals
Or emails.
and your prequal's fine. So did you meet your credit pull goal? If no, what's getting in the way? What did you do well to get the credit pulls that you did? So we also need to figure out, where did the credit pulls come from? I hope that you're tracking every referral that comes in, because if you don't know where the business is coming, then you don't know where to spend your time and money. Another layer to that is you could have agents sending you crap deals, and you might think that that agent's one of your top 5 agents because they send you so much business. But if you're not closing business with them, all they're doing is keeping you busy, and you're busy doing busy work. So what's getting in the way? What did you do good to get to the credit pulls that you are? Did you meet your partner combo goal? If no, what's getting in the way? And then what will you do to set your day up differently to protect? Just to be average, you need 60 minutes a day with partner connecting. That's average. You know what the average loan officer is closing right now this year? 1 deal a month. Do you know what the average income is if you're closing 1 deal a month, depending on what state you're in, is like a teacher. I don't know about you, but this job seems way too stressful. I guess I wouldn't want to be a teacher either, though. But I'm just saying, like, so if, and it's okay if you want to be average, or if you're okay with average results, then do 60 minutes a day. What I can tell you is, actually, let me use this analogy. Drop in the chat what you think the average baseball player makes per year.
I don't even know this. Wow.
Average baseball player, what do they make? 600,000, 125,000, 250K. What do you think?
Man.
250, 400.
I don't know. I'll say 300.
300. Okay.
Why does
The average baseball player makes 0.
Oh, that is not. I see what you did there. Sneaky.
The average baseball player makes 0. My husband was a great baseball player. He loves to coach from the couch. But he doesn't make any money. In order to make the big bucks, like someone just wrote in the chat, top tier players, 20 million, 40 million, those are the superstars. What do you think that they have to do? How do they have to practice? How do they have to show up to make that kind of money? So what are you doing? Are you playing at the Major League Baseball level to make millions? Or are you playing at the level, like truthfully, are you practicing? How are you showing up to practice? Because if you're practicing average, then you're going to make average pay. And then that's fine if that's okay with you, but you forfeit the right to complain about your income if you're not willing to practice for what it takes to win at a higher level. That's all I'm saying. You forfeit the right to complain. Otherwise, let's just do a self-assessment. It's the end of Q3. Let's acknowledge, crap, you know what? My effort level for last quarter was probably a 7, and it should have been a 9 to 10. I need to make money for the fall. So I'm going to reset. I'm going to get super focused, and I'm going to set my day out so that I can practice like a $1 million major league player. But you're going to have to do the work. So what do you need? What do you need this income goal? Well, that's not English. Oh, why do you need this income goal? Knowing why you're doing this is helpful. What is this all for? Like, really, what one thing in your personal life would hitting this funding goal do for you? I think oftentimes when we set goals and stuff, we think like, oh, I want to move to Spain and buy a yacht. And it's like this big dream. And I'm not saying don't dream big, but what I'm saying is that if you hit this goal, this micro goal that you are setting out for yourself at the end of the quarter, what is that financially going to do for you? Micro goal, not the big goal. We can dream big on other things, but this I just want to know specifically. And then here's the Q4 business plan that I have my team write out that we review is how many loans do you want to close per month in Q4? So this is monthly. What is your current credit pull to funding conversion rate? This is the temperature check. So now we have 3/4 of the year done. So your conversion rate might look a little different than the last time we analyzed this last quarter. The more data we can get, the better. How many credit pulls do you need each month? Divide that so that we can get the credit pulls per week. How many partner combos do you have? What are you committing to do weekly to reach your goal? And then guess what? We track it. Because what gets tracked gets done. If you don't track it, if you don't measure it, if you're not staying super focused to it, 1 week will pass by and you're like, darn it, I did 3 days in a row of doing no prospecting activity because I got zapped into this crazy fire of a situation. Or I've been talking to some loan officers lately, particularly ones that work at banks, and like some of the rules and how confined you guys are with what you can and can't do makes it very difficult to grow and scale. That's a whole different problem. But you really need to inspect your quarter and find, like we use the analogy all the time, find the kink in the hose. It's not the market. It's not the rates. It's not your manager's fault. There's people on this call that are having their best month and best year yet. I know that sounds harsh to hear, but like we have a guy at Benchmark. He's been a full-time loan officer for just over a year. He's helped 70 families year to date.
Wow.
Devin. Yeah.
Wow. What did he do? Like, what did he do?
He's laser focused on what he has. Every day he has a power hour. He knows who he's calling. Mondays it's his home bot leads. Tuesdays it's his status updates. Wednesdays, stuff that we've talked about here. He just follows the plan. And it's amazing what happens when you just follow the plan and consistently do it. It's not sexy. It's not fun. I mean, the fun comes when you've done all this for years and years and years. It's kind of like when you see super fit, like it makes me think of Jordan, her man. Jordan's a massive, like, how much can he bench press? Like 450? Like huge. Like literally looks like the Incredible Hulk. He's like massive. It's like once you get to a certain point in your fitness, like Jordan could eat an entire pizza and it doesn't impact his body or whatever because his metabolism and his muscles. And it's like once you put forth all this discipline, it's like it does get easier. Once you've done all this work, I'll be straight up. I don't do prospecting an hour a day. It probably drives my team crazy, but it's because I did it for years and now the reputation is building and growing and I can do other activities to attract, but you got to get to that point. You got to earn that point. So anything you want to add? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
I think the biggest challenge I hear from loan officers, and you guys, y'all chime in if you want, like this is an open mastermind, is they do it consistently, but don't think they're doing it either the right way or they don't have someone that's tweaking their swing, so to speak, but they're just not generating results. And so it's this like hamster wheel of who am I calling? I do my status updates. Like I'm doing the Redfin, price reduction strategy, but it's like, I reach out to people, they don't respond. I DM them, they don't respond. I try to call, I leave a voicemail, they're not responding.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So that's self-reflection. If you're doing the activity, if you're making the power hours and you're leaving voicemails or you're sending messages and you're not getting calls back, what does that mean?
Is there anyone that's experiencing that, or is this completely off from what you guys are doing or needing?
I don't know why it keeps moving. Do you know why? But how do you give a value when you're leaving a voicemail? Like this is so granular that people miss it. It's like, this is what I hear all the time. Hey, Erica, this is Denise. I'm a local lender. I have this insert shiny ball, which is program, strategy, blah, blah, blah. That's going to save you time and money. I'd love to set up a time to have coffee with you. That's the shtick. Like, even on Mortgage Coach and they interview people, I'm like, everybody says the same thing. Everybody. So if real estate agents hear that nonstop, do you think that they believe that whatever program or strategy or shiny ball or whatever is actually going to get them 3 more deals in 60 days?
No.
So if you call and you leave a voicemail and you're like, hey, this is Denise. I've got a shiny ball that's going to save you time and money. Let's meet. Do you think you're going to get a call back? No. So you're the exactly what to say gal. What scripting do you recommend for like starting voicemails?
It's got to be an easy to answer question that creates enough curiosity that's going to ignite the person to want to call you back. So it depends, because it depends on who you're calling. Is it a team lead? Is it a newer buyer's agent? Is it completely cold? Do you guys have any mutually agreeable facts that, like, have they ever been a listing agent on a deal? But that's where social media, you can social stalk them, is what I call it, and find out like what's going on in their world so that then you can better craft either a DM. I don't particularly like to leave voicemails. I was
just about to say, I don't leave voicemails. I mean, if you leave a voicemail, it's fine. You have like a 50% chance of them even checking it. So then what's the follow-up after it? It should be a text at the very least. Some people do video text. If you don't know the person, I would not do a video text. That's aggressive.
You have to be careful on the video text because it puts pressure on them to feel like they have to respond with a video text back, and not everyone will want. So as long as it's like an exclamation point or a period and you're not expecting a response, I think it's okay. But when it's a cold reach out, I wouldn't make it like a question where they feel like they have to respond back via a video.
Yeah. So an example is when we were doing script training, we had people that said, I don't like cold calls. I try to have a warm call. I mean, it's 2024. I don't know anybody that's making cold calls right now, just to be honest. Almost every call is a warm call. But now we associate warm calls with cold calls. It's kind of funny. Anyways, I'm not talking about cold calls. I don't make any cold calls. I don't think nobody would respond to a cold call, quite frankly. But if you've got a power hour and you're calling a listing agent that recently had a price reduction, You call them, they don't answer, you get their voicemail. You can certainly leave a voicemail, but if you shot them a text message that said, hey, I saw your listing at 123 Main Street. I had a quick question for you. Let me know when you've got some time to chat. What do you think the chances are of them responding to that text message versus a voicemail? It's their listing. It's clearly sitting. So that's what I mean by self-analyzing and inspecting. If you're doing certain activities and you're not getting returned calls or whatever, we need to analyze your script, because whatever you're saying, it's either too much. In my female group, no offense, females, holy smokes, we're wordy. Like, we have to consistently practice not being wordy. We want to, I'll role play this and I'll say it just like that. Like, hey, I saw your listing at 123 Main Street. I had a quick question for you. Let me know when you got 5 minutes. I role play this with a group of female loan officers, and I'm like, okay, do the same thing. And this is what they do. Hey, my name is Tracy at Benchmark Mortgage, and I saw your really cute 4-bedroom, 3-bath home listed at 123 Main Street. And I was just wondering that I was in the neighborhood. I'm like, oh, it's so weird. I'm sure all the men are like, yeah, I know. My wife comes home and tells me everything about her day. It's like, women naturally were really wordy. And so especially if you're talking to a man, and I'm not saying this is 100%, I'm not being sexist or anything, but y'all know it's clear and concise and to the point. You don't necessarily know. When I say you don't know this person, I mean, like, you don't have a relationship with them. So they call you back and you're like, hey, I saw this is what everyone says. Well, Denise, what do you say when they call you? Okay. Hey, your house at 123 Main Street. I have over 1,000 pre-approved buyers in my database. I would love to convert one of these buyers. Tell me about your home. What's the deal? Why is it sitting? Give me the good, bad, and the ugly. And we're just starting a conversation. I see it's over there by this school district. I don't really know much about that school district. Can you tell me a little about it? But I'm genuinely curious in the home that they have listed. And guess what my teaser was that was very, very hidden? I have over 1,000 pre-approved buyers in my database. I would love to get one of them under contract. So can you tell me a little bit about your home? That spark a little sizzle, then, hey, I've got this really cool program. I'd love to meet with you and we can have coffee and talk about it.
What if someone who's listening only has 2 pre-approved buyers?
Hey, I've got multiple buyers in my database and I'd love to learn more about your home. They're looking in that area. So I was just curious, what's the story with the home? All you're trying to do is to get them to talk. And do you think a real estate agent likes to talk about their listing? Of course. And you're just building, I'm not asking for their business in this phone call. I'm just sparking interest. We've had a connection. Now I'm going to go follow them on social. I'm going to stalk them. I'm going to like their stuff. I'm going to put a note in my CRM to follow back up to see if that house is sold or not. So maybe 10 days later, I follow up and I look and I see that house is still for sale. And so I call them and I say, hey, are you doing any open houses this weekend on that house? I saw it's still for sale. I'm going to be in the area. I'd love to pop by and just introduce myself. It's a slow courtship. Mm-hmm. But do you see how intentional the plan is? I'm not just like randomly calling 10 people to meet a quota for the day to say I did my daily activity. Like, I'm trying to get a relationship, to get a credit pull, to get a funding. Then you show up to the open house, you take some videos, you do a reel, you post it, you send it to them and said, hey, I did a hype video of your house. I included this QR code that goes to my lender marketing platform that talks about the numbers of the home. Now I've just wowed them. But I'm not going to show them that until I've established a connection first and got them talking first. But it's intentional.
Do you ever look at their buyer side deals before you even, like, just because they have a price reduction, what if they're solely a listing agent and they don't do a lot on the buy side? Would you skip that person?
No.
You'd still court?
I mean, here's the thing. It's like, go back to if your house is going to get foreclosed on in 60 days, how much time do you have and who should you be targeting? Like, listing agents will say they don't represent buyers, but what does that mean? They just personally don't. But those sellers still buy.
Mhm.
So they could still be introduced. You just have to teach them how. You know, there could be a different agent that does the buy side, but these are just an example. And then if it comes to refinances, I do want to show y'all this. I don't know how many of you guys use Mortgage Coach, but this is in the spirit of you want to get deals now to end the quarter. You're like, Denise, my goal is to close 6, 12, 18, however many loans. I have about 50% of loan officers tell me it's not time for refis. Loan officers who refi clients are scammers right now because rates are going to continue to go down. And then I have another 50% of loan officers that say, if you can save them money, it's our job to present them the savings. So I don't know what camp you're in. The camp that I'm in is that our fiduciary responsibility is to always show people the numbers. And if you didn't know, 1.3 trillion people are in credit card debt right now. And so that $100 a month savings that you might not think is worth it, they might think is worth it. Because when they do this refinance, they can get an escrow refund and they can skip 2 payments and they can wipe off 2 or 3 credit cards that's keeping them up at night at an 18% interest rate going into the holidays. And so as long as you utilize our strategy, which my strategy is a zero net cost strategy, if rates drop again in 12 months, it wouldn't be irresponsible for us to do this again for you, Mr. Customer, because it's a zero net cost strategy. So my belief is if we can save you money now, whether that be on the form of monthly payment or your term, I'd rather cash in on that now, because this time last year, every economist in America were predicting 4 Fed cuts this year. How many have we had? 1. So yeah, there's a lot of speculation about Fed cuts, but a lot of us also cast our own judgment on what we deem as financially responsible for people. And sometimes $100 a month savings could mean them making that car payment. Might not be super meaningful to you, but you're not in the place to judge that. So here's an example of my Mortgage Coach. I have to hide it because Mortgage Coach doesn't do it. They don't do it vertical anymore. Let me see if anybody's asking questions. What tool do you use to know how many deals a realtor is closing? MMI. I think it's like $100 a month. What do you mean by zero net cost? I'm going to get into that.
Whoa,
oh my gosh.
30%.
Pam, that's crazy.
Wow. Jeez.
All right, so here's my net cost strategy. Now this works in Texas, specifically Dallas, because our escrow accounts also our taxes are paid once a year. So, and our property tax rate is like typically 2.2 to 2.4. To all you Colorado people, and our taxes are expensive. So this is an example. I'm not going to go through the whole spiel. I've got plenty of them recorded, but Mr. Customer, the first thing I want to do is show you what your current scenario is. This isn't even set up right. This is just an example. Your loan amount right now is $431,916. Your current interest rate is 7.5%, and your total all-in payment is $4,310. I want to show you 3 options today, but I'm going to show you the first 2 at first. I'm going to show you the third one because that's the best for last. So bear with me. So here are your first 2 options. We have your lowest rate option, which comes in at 6.124. And then we have your par rate option, which is the 6.624. You'll notice that on the lowest rate option, you're going to save $256 a month. And the par rate redo is $134 a month. You might be asking me, Mr. Customer, well, what's the difference? The difference is this lowest rate option comes at a cost of around $4,000. And now you might be wondering, well, Denise, I thought you told me that this was a net cost of 0. So now you might feel bait and switch. Well, let me explain that to you. The way that we do your rate redo is we're going to set your loan up so that you skip 2 full mortgage payments. So the typical cost of a mortgage of a rate redo is $4,900 to cover processing, underwriting, title, appraisal, all that good stuff. And what we're going to do is we're going to temporarily increase your loan amount, this $4,900, to cover the cost of the refinance. But then I'm going to let you skip 2 mortgage payments. So we could close in the first week of November. So you're going to skip November and December's mortgage payment. And so by skipping those 2 payments, you're going to have a total of $8,600 saved in your bank account that would have gone to your mortgage, but instead we're keeping it. So that by the time your first mortgage payment is due, which is January 1st, since we temporarily increased your balance, the $4,900, we're going to take the 2 payments you skip, and we are going to apply it towards your loan balance. So it temporarily went up. It's going to go right back down. And so it's a net cost of 0. But if we choose this lowest rate option, and there's a reason why I wanted to show this to you, because to be honest, you can get much lower than a 6.14, but that's not the strategy that I would utilize now based on where we think the market's headed. My job is to show you the best strategy for the now, for the sake of if rates go down again, which they likely will. We want to make sure that we can save you money now, but not at a cost of an arm and a leg. So the 6.124 I told you comes with an added cost of, let's just say $4,000. So now your total cost is $8,900, and you only get to skip $8,600. That does mean that you have a net cost of $300. So the question is, does it make sense then to increase your loan balance to $8,900 and only skip $8,600? Well, in my opinion, that $300 difference is made up after about a month. So yes, I still think that this would be a smart financial strategy. And by the way, Mr. Customer, this works the exact same way with your escrow account, because right now your current mortgage is held with PennyMac. The balance in your escrow account is $14,000, blah, blah, blah. That holds your taxes and insurance. And PennyMac doesn't allow us to take that account and transfer it to your new loan. So essentially what we do is the same concept. We're going to temporarily increase your loan amount on your current mortgage. And then when you get that escrow refund check in the mail, we're going to take it and we're going to apply it right back to your loan, so it goes right back down. So here's where this strategy doesn't work. The strategy doesn't work if you take your escrow refund check and the 2 mortgage payments and you go on a shopping spree, or you go to Disney World, or you do something irresponsible with the money, right? That's when this strategy doesn't work. And I'm saying that because I have to, because we have a lot of clients that do that. But the strategy absolutely works to still save you money. And my third option, which I promised that I would show you, is my third option says, you know what? What if you just keep making the same payment? We drop your rate down to that 6.124. We reinvest the payment back towards your mortgage every month, that $256. Let's reinvest it back into your mortgage. And now we're going to have a freedom date of 21.5 years. So we're going to save you 9.5 years or 8.5 years off your mortgage with a net cost of 0. Am I freezing?
I don't think so.
It just says you're freezing.
Oh.
I don't know why it's doing this. It's driving me crazy. Anyways, I hear you fine. Okay, good. So some of us have the self-belief that a refinance is not smart right now. And all I'm saying is I would question you a little bit on that, because I want to make sure that you're not imposing your own belief, or maybe you're not setting up a strategy like this that says, in my heart, if rates go down a full point in 8 to 12 months, I don't feel bad doing this again, as long as we're responsible and they utilize my strategy. Now, I did just get a statement from one of my past clients where they're like, well, the servicer is offering a 4.9% interest rate. And of course I look at the loan estimate and I'm like, they're charging you 17 grand. Is that a smart strategy right now? So no, there's subliminal things that I show them during my actual presentation. That's like, you can absolutely get a lower rate. We can get a rate in the 4s. I'm just not suggesting it to you because it costs too much money in the rate market that we're in. But if you can save $250 a month, that's pretty meaningful to a lot of people, especially when over 70% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. Now, they're not telling you that, and they're not posting it on social media, but that's the truth.
As we head into the holidays.
Yeah, you know what I saw is that, do you know how much money people spend on Halloween? People spend more money on Halloween.
I know.
Like 11 million or something.
Yeah.
Like, how are we as Americans broke as a joke and we're spending money on pumpkins?
Yes. Well, it's decorations, candy, all that.
I know. Yeah.
But I mean, these are conversations too, or even a class you guys could host for your clients, is like how to budget for the holidays with travel and gifting. And there's a lot of pressure around the gifting, and maybe this Christmas is going to be a little tight. And a lot of people will just keep maxing out those credit cards, not realizing, maybe that takes them over the edge of being able to qualify for the refi come first quarter next year, because now their DTI is so out of whack, or it's dropped their score because they're at max, utilization. So these are the types of conversations you could be having if you're doing your Thursday annual review calls. So that's the home anniversary calls as well as your database calls. It's just, I always do the past, present, future conversation.
Well, we went on like a massive refi. So, the whole strategy, again, this is the message that I want to get out is like, how intentional are you with your day? There is a slew of people. If you help people buy between like September to, let's just say, end of Q1 of this year, they likely have a rate in the sevens. If anybody has in the rate in the sevens, whether there's a financial benefit or not, they should hear from you. Why? Because you told them that you are their lender and you're going to help monitor their home after closing. So if they hear all this news on social media or from coworkers and they haven't heard from you, it feels like you didn't deliver on a promise, because you didn't. Because most people say they follow up after closing and they don't. So it could be as simple as you export your database into an Excel spreadsheet, you filter by the interest rate, you highlight and you pull out everybody that has like a 6.625 rate and above, and maybe you do a mass text message, or maybe you do a mass slide dial voice drop. That's like, hey, it's Denise. I told you I was going to monitor rates for you. I have you on a rate watch list. I need a copy of your mortgage statement. We need to do an analysis. I'm not saying now's the time to pull the trigger. I don't have enough information yet. But what I am saying is I need your mortgage statement so I can run a quick analysis. Everything that I just showed you, I'm not setting them up in Encompass. I'm not starting a new loan app. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just throwing it into Mortgage Coach to see if it financially makes sense to pitch it. And there's a lot of them that don't. If the loan sizes are smaller, that monthly savings is smaller. And I literally have, just because y'all know I'm about proving it to y'all. So I'm just going to prove to you guys. Of course, I have this in an email signature because there's a lot of people I've told no. So when I see their interest rates like already good, I say, thank you for sending this over. Your current rate is a 6.625. The current market rates are 6.15. We could get a lower rate, but it wouldn't make sense. It would cost you an arm and a leg. I'm planting the seed so that when they get offers in the mail, they can discount those because I'm their trusted advisor and I'm telling them that don't fall for it. And I'm showing them the proof. This is the national average. This is proof. If you just put the text, it's not proof. So let's follow up in December when there's another Fed cut. Now, we all know that Fed cuts don't necessarily directly impact mortgage rates. In fact, on some cases, I will pull up. This is what I wanted to show you guys.
Did you say at what point does it need to be at least 1% lower than their current rate?
There's no magic number. It depends on, they will ask that, but there's no magic number. I oftentimes will pull up, I have this saved on my computer and it's the NAR, it's Lawrence, the chief economist from NAR, basically saying that, I'll just read it to you. It was on September 18th after the Fed cut. And it said the Fed's cut by the 50 basis points. They said the next cut will occur after the presidential election. And it said mortgage rates have already anticipated the Fed's likely path. This is why they've already moved 150 basis points from early in the year to today. So they're already anticipating it. Now, when you say this to a client, you can say it in those words and it might confuse them, or you can say it in words where it might make more sense. Like, this is very similar to if you owned a bunch of Apple stock right now in your portfolio, and Apple said, by the end of this year, we are going to lay off half of our workforce. you might say, honey, I think we should sell our Apple stock because you are anticipating the stock price to go down by the end of the year when the announcement happens, right? They can understand and digest that analogy. It's the same thing with mortgage rates. You see, when they first made the announcement that they were going to do this, it was at the end of July. So investors went out anticipating the news and they bought a bunch of mortgage bonds. And that's why we saw interest rates go down since the end of July, and why we didn't see much movement after the announcement, because investors were already anticipating this because they'd been talking about it on the news over and over. And they're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. You have to connect with the logical part of their brain for it to make sense. If you don't, they're going to give you yeses and nod their head, and then they're going to get off the phone, and then they're going to go research it themselves. Because you didn't make it make sense, and they're going to go find a way to make it make sense. And then all of a sudden they're getting an offer from an online lender that's offering them a crazy rate. So we talked about analyzing and inspecting and getting real with our Q3 results. What's great about Q4 is we have tremendous opportunity because rates are down. So we can capitalize on some refinances potentially. But because rates are down and it's all over the news, we have more buyers, because you guys all said the ones that are doing well is mostly purchases. It's great opportunity for home buyers because it's getting cheaper. And so if I'm a buyer right now, 72% of home buyers put home buying on pause. Psychologically, they say that when rates get into the fives, this group of people are going to re-enter the market. So Mr. Customer, you might be thinking, I'm going to wait until the spring to get serious about this. But my concern is if you wait, you're going to be competing along with this other 72% of buyers. And I'm not saying that to stress you out or to rush you. I'm saying that because if I had a chance to interview my 2019 buyers versus my 2021 buyers, you would hear for yourself that the 2019 buyer all day long would buy that house at the 5% rate and then redo it in 2021 when rates got down, versus the 2021 buyer that said they had to compete against 20 other buyers for the same home, same square footage, go over list price, waive all my contingencies. Like, I can assure you the 2019 buyer likes their home a lot more for the price they paid than my 2021 buyers. That's the only reason why I'm telling you that. And they're like, okay, got it, makes sense. So there's great opportunity going in the fall. The hard part is that the fall is when both real estate agents and loan officers get lazy. It's comfort season, football's back, it starts to get cold, we've got holidays, we've got pumpkin pies and ice cream, and we just kind of go on a 3-month sabbatical. It's the truth. So how disciplined are you to following through with your commitment to protect your partner connections and your credit pull goals that you need to get through the fall, so that you don't sit around and eat pie and then January you get up and you're like, well, shit, didn't close anything in the fall. Now I'm stressed out. I don't want that for you. You need the tools, the coaching, the programs, a smidge of accountability to stay laser focused in the fall. And either you have that with your own company and in your own team and with your own branch. And if you don't, then you need to self do it. And if you can't, then you need to call me. But the fall is the hardest part, even for our real estate agents. Y'all know, it's like, it's like real estate. I swear, after Halloween, you know,
I think it's because they assume people aren't moving. Like, it's the holidays, so the seasonality of the market, there's just not a lot of people who typically want to move during Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a seller, you're kind of desperate. But I'm like, this is the single best time for a buyer, like especially a first-time home buyer, to buy a home. You have very little competition. In our DFW area, we have 3 months of inventory versus this time last year we had 1 month. Mm-hmm. So you have way more homes to choose from. You have less competition. And the elephant in the room that we all hate is the freaking builders offering 30 grand in closing costs. I mean, truth be told, it's like they can buy a brand new stinking home with a brand new toilet and nobody's cheeks have been on the toilet.
Wow.
And get a 30 grand, like 4.9% rate. I'm like, good for you. Cool. Go buy the new construction. No, I can't compete with 30 grand. I can't. But good for you. Like, truthfully, this is the best market for them to buy in. Because when the spring market hits and if rates come down, it's going to be bananas.
I was going to say the word.
BANANAS.
You've been waiting this whole time, haven't you?
But that's the truth. Like, wait, I even like, you have to say, I'm not saying that to rush you. I'm not saying that to stress you out. Truthfully, I'm not. Like, I mean that. I'm literally telling you this because if I could line up buyers that bought in 2019 versus 2020, and you ask them, all of them would prefer to buy in 2019 because the price you pay is permanent and the interest rate is temporary. And I want you to own the asset before it goes up in value. That's why we buy real estate. So like, but if you're not doing that and showing them the proof along with everything else, like you're missing the boat.
Because then they think you're just selling.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You sound like your commission breath. So anyways, that is a wrap. Does anybody have any questions? Will this be recorded?
Yes.
It is recorded. We will send it out. Loved the pep talk. I think that's it. Is there a certain rate savings you use as a baseline, or does it just depend on your scenario and the customer goals? Do you do post-closing calls, annual reviews? Yes. So I have an entire post-closing process. When the loan gets transferred, we call. At the 3-month time, we call. At 6 months, we call. Of course, at the year anniversary, we call, make sure they filed their homestead. We tell them to look at their inspection report. Is there anything that on the inspection that should have been done that you haven't done and maybe need to do now? But our commitment is that we're constantly monitoring their equity and rate. And so they are enrolled in HomeBot as well. Every 2 weeks, they get a Nerd Client Value Bomb email. We do a lot. The thing is like, sometimes this is the part that I feel like we miss. And I talk a lot about Value Bomb emails. Who did I hear? Was it Jeremy or Dan Keller that recoined it to like, maybe it was Keith Collins, Wisdom Wednesdays. It's just a Value Bomb email, but you could do a great job for a client on their purchase. Maybe you were a hero for them and nobody else could do the loan and you did it. You went to closing, you shook their hand, agent was impressed, like all the things, right? You're like, this is a client for life. And then how in 8 months do they already forget who you are? And it's just because that dopamine moment, anything, it's just like when your spouse does something really nice for you, it's like it fades till they piss you off, you know? But it's like that dopamine moment fades. And so unless you're staying top of mind with them in an extreme way, they're going to forget about you. And they're certainly going to forget to say your name if someone's thinking of buying or selling. Same thing with when you meet a real estate agent. You could have a killer meeting with them and they're like, yeah, I'm going to send you my next deal. But it took 3 weeks for them to get a deal. And they're like, wait, what was her name? What's their contact information? Shit, I'm on the spot and the client's asking me. So I'm just going to give them my go-to person because they forget. And so the Value Bomb emails is what I call it. And every week our real estate agents get a Value Bomb email. It's something that you won't find on Google. You can't chat GPT. Comes from my brain. Everybody on my team gets to copy it, but it's something that is of value because it will help their business. And it's not like sending mortgage rates is not a Value Bomb. You can go get mortgage rates anywhere. You see what I'm saying? So, and then same thing with clients. We do it every 2 weeks. And like our last one was mortgage or marriage. And it's showing them like, if your parents are giving you 50 grand, should you put that towards your marriage and your wedding, or should you put it towards a mortgage? Or, you know what I mean? So even with this mortgage coach strategy, I tell people, you can take this money and put it back towards your mortgage. The only time that I would say it to not put it back towards your mortgage and reinvest it is if you have high credit card debt or if you have no future retirement savings, because then I show them the future value of money if we reinvest that into an interest-bearing account and what their net worth will look like in 10 years with compound interest with that invested. That's why I say you can't underestimate what 256 savings a month is, you know? So, do you do it as a video or an email? I do them multiples because I'm a person that I don't like to watch other people's videos. Like, don't make me watch a 2 or 3 minute video. I don't want to watch it.
Uh-oh. Like mine on Fridays.
Yes. Sometimes I just want it text because now everybody does it video. So I do it short, sweet text so that I don't have to watch the video. Because I have a library of videos that I want to watch, I just can't get to. But if I can read it, I can read it real quick. So sometimes it's a graphic where it's for a social media post because I use the plug and play and I just repurpose it to a mass email. Sometimes it's all text. Sometimes it's a video. Sometimes it's a market update of like, you might have thought that the Fed announcement would have dropped rates. Let me show you what actually happened. And it's a screen share.
And David, to piggyback on what you had said, and thank you for your plug with us, but I know you guys do your dreams and goals call, and I know part of y'all's process is to find that strike rate. But remember, guys, every initial buyer conversation, I know you guys are asking your clients this, but like, how long do they plan on realistically being in that home? What would have to happen? Like if they know it's not their forever home, then what's the change of circumstance that would cause them to then sell that home and then buy their forever home? Like all that data we collect up front, if we were more intentional around it, then we don't just make the reach outs only when there's a strike rate opportunity. Because what we may find is like, oh, these people said they would most likely sell this home and buy their forever home because in 6 more years, all the kids will be out of the home. So they have to stay in this school district because the kids don't want to be out of this school zone. But deep down, they know they want to be a little bit further out, have some land, not be so close to the neighbors, whatever it may be. So, uncovering what the next home would have to have or what life change would occur, or if it is a forever home, then it's a little bit different strategy because then it is maybe just about the strike rate and managing the other debts to see how we can have more dollars working smarter for them, and maybe adding to their portfolio. And instead of just helping people buy primary residences, it's like, okay, what did you say you wanted your financial freedom date to be? Let's see where you're at with that. 6 years ago when we first met, you said XYZ. Let's look at how we could shave 9 years off your mortgage by executing this strategy, and that would help you achieve the goal that you said 6 years ago.
Yeah. All good things. So next week, that strikes Q4, y'all. So thank you guys for attending, participating, investing in yourself. Go self-evaluate yourself, your activities, and how you performed in Q3. Actually rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best. What was your effort level? And then what are you going to do differently? Truly, what are you going to commit to? The micro details, not the big goals, the micro ones. What are you going to commit to for this quarter to end the year strong? It's for you. It's for nobody else other than you. So get intentional, get focused, get your numbers, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye.